everyone, welcome back to last episode of the year for the Carlton Wrap, and one of those episodes that comes out of nowhere. Joined again by the same crew as last time. Seemed to do very well views wise, which we always love. And I'm joined by 3 out of the 4 that were here last time. First one, the real host of this show, Ari Stamatikos. I will butcher your name, Ari Stamatikos, whatever you want to be called. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, David. I'm good. It's good to finally record something that I rejuvenated and I revitalized. So that's good. I just don't want to speak about what we're going to speak about, but I guess we have to because that's what we're doing, putting ourselves through torture. It's good fun.
Yet again, I've got also. It's on the left of my screen. Kirra, welcome back. How are you? How have you been?
Thank you for having me. I've been all right. AFLW currently killing me, but that's all right. Soon the review of the Carlton AFL men is going to kill me too. So this will be fun. But no, I'm glad to be back and excited to put the year to rest and look forward.
And the last one, Tori, welcome back. You haven't got your sidekick Jazz with you, but you're back this time.
She ditched me today, which is fine. But anyways, I'm good. I'm great. Thanks for asking.
So obviously no Jazz this time. Pretty sad. She racks in the views for us, so a bit disappointed that she hasn't turned up today. But
what a shame. What a shame.
Ari's not very happy about it.
Yeah,
but not happy.
I'm here.
Well, let's get.
So
Tori's here.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Well, let's go into it. Let's move straight into it. How did we feel about just the AFL finals in general? Geelong winning it.
You go, Ari.
No, I was going to say, I know you're very happy about that, Nathan.
Mate, let's not talk about that. I'm asking for your opinion.
Yeah, it's not Collingwood, so I'm over the moon. Not Collingwood or Richmond, so happy as Larry over here.
The grand final was boring, but other than that, the final series was unreal. My dad's Collingwood, so I went to quite a few of the finals. I went to Collingwood Sydney, which was unreal. I think that had more of a grand final atmosphere during the actual game than the grand final did. So I thought the final series was really exciting. I wish we were in it, but I think it also kind of showed me how we're probably a little bit off the mark in the second week of finals. We probably weren't up to that standard just yet, but it was a really good series. Just wish we were there.
Tori?
No, I'm the same thing. Final series was good. Grand final was boring. Again, I don't think we're ready, or we weren't ready for that finals. I think we would have gone out first round. Yeah.
Well, it was. I don't know if you guys felt the same. It hurt a bit more watching these finals, knowing we probably could have taken it up to a couple of these teams, or whether we would have gone far is, we'll never know. But a bit disappointing nonetheless. And look, boring grand final. Can't say I'm too happy with the team who won it, but that's fine. You know what? We'll move on, and it'll be ours next year. But let's move straight to the blue stuff. I want to take everyone's mind back to pre-season, pretty much before I'd say even like the St Kilda practice match. What was everyone's expectations? I'll start. I thought 9th or 10th would be good as long as they put in a really good shift. I didn't think that, assuming they'd go 8-2, I was thinking that they'd sort of have an up and down, win-loss, but they were showing very good signs. So I guess I was sort of right, sort of wrong. I'll pass over to you, Kirra. What were your expectations?
I didn't so much have a ladder expectation. Mine was more so I just wanted to go to every game thinking we had a shot to win. Normally I go to every game thinking we're going to lose, but this year I genuinely went into every round thinking we were a shot to win, and if we put our best foot forward, we could take it up to any team in the competition. So I think my expectations were met, but same as you, after we went 8-2, I think everything changed a little bit.
Sorry.
I had no expectations going into this season. None. Zero. Didn't think anything was going to happen. Just new coach, new coaching staff, everything was new. I just thought, give it a go, we'll see. But I didn't have any expectations, personally. If anything, we did better than what we thought. I probably thought we were going to do. That's all.
All right.
I don't even know. I can't even remember. It seems like it was 4 years ago, to be honest, based on what this season was. But I just wanted to enjoy going to the footy. Like that's I think I didn't really have an expectation ladder wise. I thought, okay, if we don't at least give finals a red hot crack, I'll be disappointed. We did more than that. So it was pretty good in that respect. But I think this season, I'm sure we'll touch on it. I think this season has like changed the expectations. I feel like the expectations that were during this preseason changed so much to when they were around 10. But yeah, preseason I was like, give finals a red hot crack. I think I had us finishing 6th. That was more hopeful than anything. But nah, it was just I want to enjoy footy again. That was my main thought process.
Well, we did at least start to see. I don't think there was really any game where we were completely out of it. The one I can only really think of is the Geelong game, where we were probably dominated 75% of that game. Let's talk about the first half. It felt like that season was split into like 2 halves of rounds 1 to 10 and then rounds 11 to 23. It's quite weird. Like when we look back at footage from round 1, 2, 3, like it doesn't seem like it was this year. It feels like it was, I don't know, it feels like it was a long time ago. I mean, we started to see the midfield really get on top in that sort of plan A of a game plan of winning the centre clearances and dominating from there. We had Charlie and Harry back for the first time until Harry got injured in like round 7. But it just seemed like everything was clicking much quicker than we expected. I'll pass to Kirra and I'll ask, I mean, what were you thinking after probably around that sort of, halfway point? Were you expecting it to continue? Favourite moments from that period? Or were there any signs that you were like probably unsustainable?
Oh, I think you could probably see that there were parts of our game plan that were unsustainable. We were only winning kind of in the midfield, and it was a 20-minute probably block that we were winning games in where we just absolutely went bananas and turned on a bit of a blitz. So you could probably see that there were elements of, parts of our game plan being unsustainable. But I think, I definitely didn't expect the second half of the season to go the way it was. I very clearly remember watching fan cams. I can't remember when it was, but someone said, and I also don't know who it was, someone said something would have to go terribly wrong for us not to make finals now. And I remember I wrote it on my desk, like it's written on my desk, because I just wanted it there to remind me that something could still go terribly wrong. And it did. But I think, I didn't think we were going to not make finals, but it is what it is.
Same to you, Tori.
No, I agree. Same thing. We weren't performing for 4 quarters, although we were winning. The effort was there in 1, maybe 2, but we weren't. There was always something that was still missing or wasn't sticking. So until you can really put a side away and win playing a 4-quarter game, there was always that risk. But I agree with what Kirra said.
Oh, I felt like the Collingwood game was that first game where it felt like everything was going a bit rocky. We didn't really dominate that game at all, and like as much as the scoreline was 4 points, we should have probably lost by more in hindsight. Collingwood let us back in right at the end, but sort of, alarm bells were just in the distance. It felt like it could go south if things didn't turn around. But then we moved into the second half of the season, picked up Sam Durden from the mid-season draft as a recovery for Jacob Wiedering. And what did he do? He got injured in like the first game, didn't he? So that was such our luck. Anyone can add to that.
It's a good microcosm of the season. I think it's great. Just adds to it. It's just more ingredients to whatever the fuck this season was.
I feel like we use it as an excuse, but is there an excuse? Because I feel like we actually played better with all the injuries than once we got them all back.
Yeah. Well, that period where no Harry, no Pitto, even no Wiedering, was okay. Wasn't great, but it was still pretty good. I like that North Adelaide Giants Sydney, that 4-game run I'm not sure the extent of our injuries at that point. I know Peter was definitely one of them. But yeah, that was scintillating, and we still had some pretty big outs. So it was a story of what if.
We had such a good win over Sydney, and then they played the grand final. Obviously, got smashed in the grand final, but I was sitting at the grand final just watching, thinking we absolutely smashed Sydney in that one quarter. Charlie was, doing what Charlie does. Marvel Stadium's roof was going to fly off, and then they were playing in the grand final. So it's an interesting game. And on that Collingwood game, just going back a little bit, I fully thought Jack kicked that goal. And I was like jumping up and down, and then my dad was like, "It didn't go through." And the emotional fall from thinking that was a goal was big.
Well, in terms of like the injuries, and maybe this is an opinion, someone can back me up or not, but I think going forward we might be one of the best teams in terms of being able to play without key players, because you look at teams like Melbourne, and I think they had, remember a VFL call, they only had, this was like around 20, they had 4 injuries across both AFL and VFL programs, which is like nothing. And I'm sure that, and I don't know who those 4 players were, but realistically it's not probably, I don't think it was anyone significant. Does anyone agree that we probably have the best ability to play with anyone at any given time going into next year?
Yeah, I agree. I think we've done it. So, and also our system isn't, I mean, what we saw, granted it is midfield heavy, but it's almost like types of players rather than the players themselves, in a sense. So you need like, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's not like it's Patrick Cripps and 17 other guys anymore. Like, it's an actual team. So I think, and good armies aren't reliant on individual people. They're reliant on a system, and we saw that every single time we had injuries, we managed to maintain a decent level of performance. I do think it was one too many. I think maybe not in terms of injuries, but I think it just took a toll in terms of the continuity just broke towards the back end of the season with like no Kennedy, Walsh and Hewitt in the last game especially, yeah. So that just broke them. I think that was one too many soldiers, I think.
I could not agree more. And I think it's the same in Voss's messaging to everyone. Like, you're not trying to break into the 22, you're trying to break into the 1 or 2 spots that are designed for you and the way you play. And I think that's something that I found really important throughout this year. I think you could just tell that they weren't trying to break into the entire team. They were just trying to break into their line and their role, which was able to strengthen not only our AFL side, but also the VFL side, because they knew exactly what they were trying to work on.
Anything to add, Tori?
No, I agree. I'm same as Kirra again. She's on the ball.
Not the same as me? No?
No, because Newman was a big part of the missing piece.
All right, sorry.
Well, we also got Caleb Marchbank back for a game, then decided he was going to injure himself again. So
I have to thank him though, because that was the game I went to in Melbourne. So thanks for coming back so I could watch. And then he disappeared again. But that's Jazz's problem.
How good is it we can have a rational conversation without getting interrupted or death stared at? It's good.
I'm gonna clip this right then. This clip right now is going on Twitter. But let's move it forward. I think the game, well, we had a really good performance against Freo, and it probably calmed my nerves down a bit, because I was like, okay, even with injuries, we're still able to put a good performance, together, which is probably what should have happened in one of those Adelaide games, Brisbane, Melbourne. You just thought it was going to click, and it sort of did in that Melbourne game, but that Freo game was probably the best just as a win. It was a great win, did what we needed to do, and the game. And it was one of those games where it just felt like everything we just did the week before meant absolutely nothing, and it was the St Kilda game. I mean, it just, that killed. And I think it's and look, great what they were playing for, Carlton respects, but there's orange socks there to go, because we haven't won in them. pretty sure we haven't won in them yet. It's been like 7
Yeah,
years
we
since I
haven't.
haven't won a single game in the
Yeah.
Orange Socks.
0-7.
So like, love the cause, but just at least
Since
let's
when
just.
socks make a difference of how you play footy?
Well, apparently
It's
they
mental.
do. So
Mental.
mental.
Is it like throwing them off when they're kicking the ball, or they can see it like it gets in their vision and they're running? Just try to work it.
Maybe change the color.
That-
Maybe change the color. Maybe it's the color. Make it like red or something. I don't know.
What is the difference between red and green?
I don't know. It clearly isn't working. Obviously,
Wouldn't
great
red
cause.
make the
Obviously,
least sense when you're talking about Carlton respects and domestic violence? Red's probably not the colour you want to
actually,
use.
yeah, good point. Yeah, good point.
Maybe green, but anyway, let's move forward from that. Well, I don't know. We have to stick on the St Kilda game, actually. But we made a team that looked very ordinary the 2 weeks before. They got smacked by Sydney and lost to someone else. I can't remember. Was that like everyone's game where they were like, yep, this could definitely go bad if it's not fixed?
No, I don't think so, because I was still living in La La Land of the Freo game and the happiness of round one still. And I thought it was probably just a dip in the road and something that was a little bit out of character for us. And I thought it was probably not a representation of what we would be moving forward. However, now in hindsight, looking back at it, I think you can definitely see the alarm bells. But in the moment, I didn't really think anything of it.
Oh, I know the term danger game is overused, but that was a game where I was like, if we're gonna drop one, it was such a Carlton thing to do, and it was almost like there were either two scenarios in my head going into that game. Was we either lose it, like St Kilda don't win it, we lose it, which is what happened. I think we kicked 1-6 in the third quarter. Like, Jesus, far out. Or we completely obliterate them and it's like a statement, like, nah, we've changed. Like, we win by 30, 40 points and like it's a completely like a line in the sand type game. Obviously, we weren't ready to draw the line in the sand just yet, and it was the former which happened, which was probably the more likely scenario out of the two, in all fairness. But yes, still equally as frustrating as whatever my expectation would have been at the start of the game, regardless.
Tori?
Yeah, danger game. That was definitely what it was. They had come off two pretty big losses, and you don't win that one. It's not looking good on our end that we can't pull off something. I actually don't think we played that bad. We just could not hit the scoreboard. Well, we could, just by points and not goals.
Points.
So, yeah. So if they kick straight, game over. We won that game. End of story.
It was, I don't know, I thought we played pretty ordinary. Despite our kicking, I just thought in terms of our ability to shut down what St Kilda wanted to do, I thought it was pretty disappointing at times. I didn't think they were that complex to shut down and didn't really seem to get a hang of what we were meant to be doing. But that was the start. And then we went to Perth. We got Wiedering back. So it was a, good boost. And then we looked like we were going to give West Coast a great game, as we tend to do against these bottom teams. But then we just sort of blew them away in that second half, which was great. I swear we don't win by a lot of a big margin. So it was just, it's weird to like sit back and relax.
Not be stressed.
Yeah, like that, you know what, if anything good was to come out of this year, it's that they actually are starting to build on that ability to put margins on. But then, as Ari needed to mention in the last podcast, that if they'd beaten Hawthorn by a couple more goals or Port by a couple more goals, we'd be playing finals. So
yeah, well, it's 0.6%.
I'm still
could be looking at
traumatized
that
by
way,
that
mate.
comment.
Well, okay,
It's-
1-6 against St Kilda. Well, the 3-3, we're playing finals.
Ari, shut up. I'm
God.
just getting
God.
over it.
Even 2 goals,
Look,
4 probably would be playing. But anyway,
Look, I'll be honest, I was one that my dad did make that comment of our percentage will be big coming in the season. I was like, no, it won't. Like, it won't. Like, but, oh well. Yes, that's where we are.
A percentage means crap if you're winning games. Ask Collingwood.
True.
Yeah, well, that is true. That
Good
is
point.
very true.
Thank you.
And then we went to the Geelong game, and that was we didn't play bad. Geelong just played extremely well and just killed us. I don't like, and that's what a lot of teams sort of had to struggle with against Geelong. Just never were able to find any good run of form. Although the Saints beat Geelong, and that was Geelong's last loss against St Kilda. So maybe we did get beaten by
A better
a
team.
really decent team on that night. You never know. A better team. And then last win. So that's very hard to take. And if does anyone remember when that GWS game was?
I can't remember that game.
The second one? Is that what
Yeah, the second one. I mean that was our last win.
I
It was
can't remember that game.
ages.
Like,
Me neither.
I remember it.
all I remember is obviously Sard and Green's mark. I swear Cottrell kicked 2 goals.
That was it. Yeah.
And also Lockie Plowman had 18 touches and went like at 100% efficiency. So that's something I remember from that game. Surprised he didn't poll votes in the BNF for that game, but here's what it is.
He didn't poll.
Yeah, it's travesty.
Wow.
Seriously?
Travesty.
He normally does all right in the BNF too.
Finished 3rd one, yeah. So
Yeah, it's pretty good. Who got more votes, Plowman or Marchbank?
Marchbank. He only played 3 games.
where's Marchbank's
Who
podium
got more
finish?
votes?
Where's Marchbank's podium finish?
Yeah, it's true.
No.
Look, my favourite player is about to go to
games.
Essendon, so
3
I shouldn't be talking.
games.
Yeah, well, I don't care. Don't be injured.
How many games did Plowman play?
More than 3.
Yeah, exactly.
You can stay on the park. Anyway, it's getting sidetracked.
Let's get back to that Giants game. Okay, so this is our scenario. We've got 4 games and 1 win. Was anyone actually confident we would do it, or was I just really pessimistic and thought it was just never going to happen?
There was not obviously deep down inside me, I was scared that it wasn't going to happen, but there wasn't really a part of me that thought we wouldn't make finals. I was so confident. I was sold.
Yeah, I was like, we haven't lost 2 games in a row all year. What are the chances of us losing 4 games in a row? That was I was like, we're gonna win. We're gonna win 1. Like, we have to win 1. My thought process was, I don't think we'll make. Like, I wasn't sold on making finals. I was sold on us winning 1 game, and that obviously turned out to be enough for us to make finals. But I was like, surely at least 1. Like, yeah, but
It's funny though, because upon reflection, it doesn't even feel like we lost 4 games in a row. Like, it feels like all the games are in their own world. Like, I just don't remember losing 4 in a row. I just remember
4 weeks.
losing individual games.
Tori? Anything to add?
I, positive Tori, back at it again, was convinced we could win every single one of them comfortably. Maybe not comfortably, but I was convinced that we had it. Adelaide should have been a lock. Brisbane was tough either way because it was at the Gabba, so that one kind of panned out who I thought. I didn't get to watch all of the Melbourne game, and I haven't gone back and watched it, but I was out, so I couldn't watch it. I watched the whole last quarter though. That one surprised me, but I didn't think it was going to be an impossible task either. And then I don't talk about Collingwood.
We talked about that enough last episode.
Don't talk about it. It's irrelevant. My brain, Patrick Cripps 3 votes, and that's it.
It's the only good thing to come out of that game. It's literally it. But let's move back to the Adelaide game. Well, I don't know. You all seem like you were confident we were going to win it. I don't know. It's the whole Adelaide Oval thing. We never won there, which I just think was never a good thing to go into that type of game with, where you sort of expected to win it. It was probably the first time we've honestly been expected to go to Adelaide Oval and win a game, because I feel like since it since games have been played there, it's like Port and Adelaide have actually been good, and we've been crap. So this was the first time we'd actually played a team there that was working well on the ladder, worse than us. And
it gave me serious Bryce Gibbs retirement flashbacks. Like, that game hurt my soul, and so did this one. Like, it was giving me serious flashbacks.
I wasn't worried at all, because my thought process was, all right, you say we don't win at Adelaide Oval, but we don't beat Richmond round one.
We don't beat GWS.
That's exactly what I was going to say. We don't beat GWS over there. We don't beat any team by over 50 points. We did that, surprisingly. So I just thought, like, it's Adelaide. Like, if I would have been more concerned if it was Port. If we'd played Port over there, I would have been more concerned. But I just thought, no way. Like, we can't lose this. And I think I said to my dad, because at that point it wasn't really like, we didn't know we had to win one of four. It was just like, we need to just win a couple. Like, we need to win two probably at that stage. We didn't really know. I was just like to my dad, I was like, this is going to be the last game of the season where I'm going to be calm. So I'm just going to like take it all in. I'm going to be really like, I'm going to make sure I enjoy it. And like, so I'm not going to be stressed. I'm just going to enjoy everything. Then halfway through the first quarter, I'm thinking, here we fucking go. This is going to be a long Saturday night.
what was your perspective, Tori, from that game?
I don't remember much of it, to be honest. I thought going in that we were going to win it, even though we had never won there, but the Giants game proved that to me at Giants Stadium, that doesn't actually matter. And I think us doing a lot of things this season just made it possible. And again, positive supporter. Never say never. But yeah, I'm not happy with that one.
The only thing with like the whole not being GWS over there is the thing is like you're not really playing against any crowd over there. So like I feel like being able to overcome Giants Stadium and Adelaide Oval is two quite different things. Or you were at that.
There is not a Giants crowd there. I was loud enough to cover the whole place. I reckon if someone was sitting on the other side, they could have heard me scream when Charlie marked that ball. If you've seen the tweet in front of me, there was multiple of them. That one was a favourite. So it's a loud crowd. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry.
Well, I wish we had that type of crowd at Adelaide, but
maybe
Adelaide.
I'm not going to Adelaide next season.
No, just be careful when you're there. I don't think you'll get away with it as easy in Adelaide. But then we moved to Brisbane, which if we couldn't get past Adelaide, we were never getting past Brisbane. At least that's what it sort of seemed. And was this the week where Harry went on the couch, or was this the week after? Or was it the week after? Can't remember.
I think it was the week after.
Week after.
I don't care.
After. Well, it was anyways between these games. It was a lot of that talk of we want to come out and the whole generic. Oh, that was bad. We want to improve and come out so much fiercer, and they literally did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. I thought it was all over at that point. I think was anyone like thinking it was all over? Because I just didn't think we were going to beat Melbourne and Collingwood after you lose 2 in a row and in pretty bad fashion as well.
I just thought we're not going to get worse than this. We can't. Like, if they get worse than this, then they shouldn't, like, watch out because Icon Park won't be there in the morning, right? I was like, we can't get worse. So we literally hit rock bottom. What we were 10 goals down to Brisbane. We're halfway through the third quarter, whatever it was. I was like, we're never gonna perform worse than that, especially over like a game. So I was like, we can beat Melbourne and Collingwood, no problems. I was still so confident that we'd make finals from that point. It was, to be honest, I was confident we'd make finals probably up until quarter time of the Collingwood game.
Yeah, I was still confident that we wouldn't lose to Collingwood twice. So I thought that game would seal us, but yeah.
I was obviously everyone was very negative Nancy because we were losing. But we went on that goal run. And when that was happening, I was like screaming at my group chat, like, we're going to win this. Don't you worry. And it was working and it was going to happen. And I'm like jumping up and down. I need to control my excitement. I think that's something I need to learn to do in 2023. But laps around the kitchen, I was convinced that, okay, we're a goal or two away now. No way are we taking our foot off the pedal. And then we did. So.
I that was the most half-assed comeback I think I didn't move. I just knew exactly what was going to happen.
You know what? You need to learn to be more positive, I think.
No, because I'm realistic. Did you not watch the 12 weeks before? That whole 12 weeks where we capitulate every single time. It was Brisbane are a good side. Brisbane know exactly what they're doing. They didn't need to try in the last quarter, and they didn't try for 25 minutes. And the 5 minutes that they did try, they piled on 4 goals. So like they're a good team. Like if we'd gotten within a goal, maybe I think we got within 15 points with a couple of minutes to go. So I mean, if you want the Lee Matthews theory, then yeah, we were within a shot. But like, I wasn't convinced at all, regardless of whatever the margin was. I just knew as soon as Brisbane wanted to try, they just turned the notch up 1% and bang 4 goals in 5 minutes.
I thought that was something we could do too, considering the season.
Yeah, but that was our period, though.
Yeah. Okay. Momentum.
Yeah, right. How'd the momentum work out?
You know what? It worked out pretty well because we went on a goal run. The end.
And we lost by 5 goals. I don't think anyone cares.
Sorry.
Nathan, take control of this, Jason.
You were just the same one before. No. You were just the same one before. That's like, oh, how good is it without Jazz? No, and you're literally the one causing shit tonight.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just having an
argument.
No, you blame the girls.
Oh, what? You're going to play that card now, are we? Nathan, get this under control.
Okay, yeah, all right. Well, we'll move on. We'll talk about the Melbourne game, and that's it for this season. We won't touch on the Collingwood game. But if anything, this was worse than this was way worse than the Collingwood game. The Collingwood game barely hurt me because it's like, you know what? It's just that was meant to be. The Collingwould game was meant to be. The Melbourne game was
not meant to be, Nathan. That was not meant to be.
No, it was. It was.
No.
It was just like, no, because when you're 4 goals up at 3/4 time against a team who always comes back.
Yeah, I know.
It was meant to be. It's just going to happen.
1 point. That's all I'm going to say.
We said we weren't talking about the Collingwood game. And the Melbourne game.
I was more hurt at the Collingwood game because I was completely sober, and that has a bad effect on how you react to footy. That's it. Melbourne swallow.
I think if we're talking like moment, like obviously for me the Pickett goal, and I've said this, I think I said this last time we recorded, I've said this so many times, the Pickett goal hurt more because I knew there was 4 seconds left or 10 seconds left. So it was like, it was game over. Whereas when Elliott kicks a goal, there's 90 seconds left. Yeah. I'm thinking, we're going to have one more chance. We're going to have one more chance. What we make of that, whatever happens, happens. But with Pickett's goal, it was game over, done. It's over.
I'd back that. That's how I felt as well.
Yeah. Although the loss in round 23, like the siren hurt more.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's just not a good time. You know, let's leave it there for the season.
We're all like mute.
Just it's so bad.
I felt like I died.
It's so bad.
I was lying on the ground. If you haven't seen the photo, I was lying on the ground for an hour. I was numb. No, I couldn't hear anyone. I was numb. It didn't happen. I was kind of happy I wasn't at the ground, to be honest, because that would have tortured me for life. No offense to people that were there, but yeah.
It's gonna motivate them though. Like I couldn't see a world in where it doesn't, like, it flips on them and like sends them backwards, because
people are saying that they could take it one of 2 ways, and they're just not that. They're not that type of team.
I would say that. I don't know. I think I said this last time. It's the most important off season in this club's history within the last 20 years, right? Because this is the first time we've actually gone through something on field that's that could damage the team, right? I mean, you look at 2011, we lost in the semi, but that was probably expected to be where we were in a sense. So like it was only like up from there, and I mean even the way we started in 2012 was unreal. So in terms of on pitch, this is the first time where because we were there. I think when you finish last, it's hard to because you're already broken when you're last, so you can't get broken even more. Whereas we have something here, we had something, we were there for all intents and purposes. The game goes 90 seconds shorter. We're playing finals and we reach our expectation, and then we don't. So it's just completely cut off. Bang, goodbye. Like that can break a team.
If it's anything to go by on how this off season's going to be, I think Vossi and the president Sayers, his speech at the BNF was awesome. I think both of their speeches were really good. So if that's the way that I know words are just words, but if that's the way we're going to be attacking the off season, I think we're off to a good start.
My comment on that is I think how obviously it's a very no, I can't think of the word. Like losing could have had a very negative effect on the players, but I think as well coming out, Cripps winning the Brownlow, things like that, they're big lifters for the club as well. Like that's our number one leader, and if he believes they can do it, then count me in.
That's a good segue onto the player performances, and just we're not going to touch on every single player. And the main question, each and everyone to give me a player that they thought performed extremely well, had a great season, or just achieved above expectation, one or the other, and then the opposite of that, one player they were not as happy with and probably thought performed below expectation. And I will start. I'm going to put someone under. I'm going to put Ari because he did this to me on the rest. So Ari, it's on you first.
Player like overachieved, or I mean, I was going to say Plowman for the joke, but I won't. Overachieved. I think a lot did. I think it's hard to when you pick someone, it's like kind of picking from a bunch of 5 or 6. It's like I don't think anyone stood out above everyone else in terms of overachieving. But from the group, I think Zach Fisher announced himself as being our game changer in a sense, playing midfield forward, getting that 20 touches, kicking 2 goals type player. Obviously, Lewis Young stood up immensely with it in the absence of Jacob Wiedering. Like Motlop, who defied all expectations. I don't think anyone thought that he'd get a game this season, just based off he's still very raw and still very I know he played against adults last year in his draft year, so to see him get a game and to see him play like he did, I think was very surprising. But yeah, if I had to pick, I'd say probably Zach Fisher, just because he's a player that we've lacked for so long. We've lacked that impact, almost like that Shea Bolton type player who can go forward, kick 2-3 goals, can go in the midfield, get 20-23 touches and have an impact. And also he's got pace, which we lack. So that's good. In terms of underperforming, I think it's pretty harsh to say. I don't think I can really pick out anyone. Because it's not the David Teague system. So if you underperform, you didn't play. It's not like we force players to play when they were underperforming. I just think I would like to have seen more out of Paddy Dow, but I guess what can you do?
Kirra.
I'm going to say Charlie Curnow for my overachieved or went above my expectations. I think the narrative in the preseason was that he'll never get back to what he was, and I think he surpassed what he was. I don't think anyone could have expected him, or I definitely didn't, to win the Coleman. So Charlie for me. And then for underperform, I'm pretty similar to Ari. I think it's pretty hard to tell or say, but I'd probably say someone like Setters. I think he showed a lot of upside in 2021, and I got really excited for what he might have brought to the team, but he just couldn't solidify his spot. And he had a few games where he didn't put his best foot forward. But yeah, I think what Ari was saying, good. If you didn't perform, then you didn't play. So it's pretty straightforward.
Tori.
Lewis Young was mine. When we drafted him, I didn't know much about him or anything like that. To me, he was going to be player in the twos. He might have got a game, again with injuries, which was kind of why he came in, but he broke some intercept records and did some things that I think impressed us all, and I'm very happy he's a Blue. He's doing well. And below expectation, I'm the same. I don't think there's anyone that didn't lift their weight when they needed to in that sense. Obviously, injuries were the death of our season at the end of the day. But yeah, Paddy Dow, Settlefield, I love them both. It's just tough if they don't get a good run enough to be able to show what they can do.
And I wouldn't say overachiever, because I was expecting what he brought out, and Adam Sard for me was just sensational start to finish. I was surprised he didn't poll even higher in the best and fairest in the end. He was just one where I don't think you can really pick out a game where he wasn't playing well. He just played well all the time. He was never like your top player, but you always knew you'd get something out of him each time. And yeah, look, I have to unfortunately throw my man Will Setterfield under the bus for underachiever. It was just frustrating. I wish he could have got back to that 2019 form. What we saw at the end of the season in 2019, but look, it will kill me to see him in red and black next year if it does happen. I'd love to see him get more opportunity, but it's just, I don't know. Who's my favourite player going to be if Will's gone? That's the question that everyone wants to know, and I don't know. Lucky player. I just can't wait to get the number 20 on my back. I just can't wait to get weird looks every time I walk around the MCG Mail Stadium. But
no, people just be surprised that you actually
who walks around with the number 20?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you why. It's because they're all sold out because they're such high in demand. That's why.
Yes.
So people will be like,
"How did we're all just all sold out?
How much did you have to pay to get that?" That's what you'll be saying.
Yeah, well, sure, I'll back playoff setters guys. I'll back him. But yeah, that. And then, one more question: who's having a breakout in next season? I'll throw to Kirra first.
I'm going to say Kirra. He's got his mate Akers, so he might feel a little bit more comfortable. So I'm going to say Kirra.
I'm pushing in. Mine's Blake Akers. He's going to kill the game, kill the day. He's going to be number one.
Do we need? I was going to say Jack Martin, but I mean we've been hoping that for 3 years, so probably not going to happen. I'm going to say Corey Durden will establish himself as our best small forward by a comfortable stretch.
I reckon Jesse Motlop will establish himself as our best small forward.
Someone give Matt Owie some love, for God's sake.
I think Matt Owie will establish himself as the best.
I'm just going Mosquito Fleet. The three of them together, they've got it down pat.
That would be great.
There you go.
Here we go. So let's move on to postseason. What we've had since the season ended, and we talked about Cripps, Brownlow. I mean, that was huge. Like, actually, Tori, do you remember the Chris Judd Brownlow very well? I don't.
Yes,
I don't know if us three would remember it very well, but
I remember it very well. That was great. I think I don't know. You kind of just never expect a player from your team's going to get it, especially when you go for Carlton. It was good. No, I was still young, guys. I'm not that much older than you, but Chris Judd was a big part. My family's big Chris Judd fan, so we were over the moon. But I don't it doesn't compare to the way I felt when Cripper won it, because obviously I'm a lot more involved than I was when I was 9.
It was a great night. It never felt like he was going to win it, just based off sort of, I don't know. You just look at the Brownlow predictor and think as well. It's like, oh yeah, he's going to win it.
Say this, but I was convinced. I made the prediction. My prediction was correct. Cripper, I knew. I just knew. I had a sense.
See, I was convinced in the last, I thought he was going to be flying up by a heap in the bye round and then crash. And then when he was still up there in the last 3 rounds, I had this terrible feeling that he was going to lose it by a vote. Because
yeah.
I'm like, that would be so Carlton for him to lose it by a vote. And
when he only got one vote in round 1, I was
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Oh, whoa, like...
I almost resigned at that stage. I was like, oh, great, yeah, P. Cripps 1 vote when he had 30 and kicked 3.
I think that Adelaide game shocked me the most, though. Once he got that, I was like, done.
No, for me, that was a 3 votes for me. He was our... He was the best on the day by a country mile, in my opinion.
But by a lot, that's all I meant. Like,
yeah, but
assume an Adelaide player. Yeah, but like, if I get 1, sure thing.
Yeah, but it's Cripps, so it's like, who cares? No, in all seriousness, when he got the 1 vote in round 1, I was like, oh, great, they're going to do it to him again. Like, this is what they're going to do this year. So I almost resigned at that stage. I think I started to believe. I don't even know when I started to believe it would happen. I think maybe when he was within. I think when he got. Did he get all 3 against Melbourne, or did he get 2?
2.
Yeah. So I don't know, but when I saw Petrarca and Oliver were taking votes off each other, I was like, okay, he's going to be in this now. And I knew Neil wouldn't vote, or Neil wouldn't poll in the last 2 rounds. So I was like, well, Cripper's probably got the 3 locked up in round 23. And my worry was Took Miller. I was like, because I know the Suns won in their last game, I think. So I was like, part of me was saying, like, all right, if Took wins it, I'll actually be like kind of happy because I like him, and it's not like a Bont or a Oliver or a Petrarca winning it. But I was like, he's a sniffier. I think with 2 rounds left, I was like, he's a sniffier. So, although I was just waiting to hear Kirra 3 votes in the last game, because that's just what would have happened. Who cares about your best on ground trophy? The umpires just do what they want. But no, it was good. It was good.
Any last thoughts from 2 girls on that one?
No, it was great.
Kirra, I'm going to throw this one to you and talk about the best and fairest. You were there on the night.
Hi.
Look, I want to see it.
Yeah.
You on the live stream.
Photoshop.
I was on the live stream. The Photoshop. We're talking. Don't worry. Anyway. Kirra knows.
And I want to say, I didn't even watch the live stream. I was just following socials because the live stream is a lot of just long waits and like, I don't know, just I've never been a fan of watching them like through live stream. Probably better to be there in person. But I was upset. I thought Sard would win it personally. But Kirra, run us through that night and just tell us about it. What happened? Anything significant, really?
No, it was a super exciting night. I think it was just good to see everyone in the room. Again, it was packed. There was so many people there, and it's just good to see the players in like a very natural state. Like, that sounds so weird to say, but like they're just so human in that instance. I mean, they're still like, people are still asking them for photos and things like that, but they're a lot more relaxed and they've got a beer in their hand and things like that. But I think a lot of people in the room that I spoke to thought Doc was going to win. I think even the players were cheering for Doc. I think I heard a few players say that they were really hoping that Doc took it home. I think even Cripps's mum said that she would have been super excited if Sam won it. But I think, Cripps trifecta. But yeah, no, it was just a super exciting night and it was good to see everyone. The vibes were high. Yeah, good night.
Ari, what were your thoughts? Were you surprised with the winners or who'd you tip?
I didn't. I assumed Cripps would win it. I didn't really go into it with any expectations about anyone. I thought if it wasn't Cripps, it'd be Doc, just based on what I think the club values. I think Doc kind of typifies what the club values in a player more than anyone else. I just think Cripps' season was too good. So yeah, I thought Cripps would win it. If it wasn't Cripps, it'd be Doc. but I wasn't shocked when Chris won it. No.
And Tori, any last thoughts on that?
Yeah, Doc was my vote. I think you kind of expected Cripps to take it home, but I was hopeful for Doc as well.
The next big news that Tori, you were very excited about, Harry re-signing till 2030.
The best news of my life. I cried. There was tears. I cried about 4 times in the span of an hour. I woke up. This is daylight savings day, I think. No, I'm lying. It was the day before, day after that. Not the point. It was 8:30. I woke up and I had a text message from one of the girls that just said, "Check Twitter. WTF? Harry Mackay just signed." And I just instant wake up. Went on my phone and I just read 2030 and I didn't process it. I did not. I froze and then I started crying and screaming and then I was on Twitter for about 5 hours after that.
I'd love if Will Setterfield got a 7-year contract, but wish we're thinking.
Player's got a lifetime contract, so it's fine.
I think the most exciting thing about Harry re-signing was there was no leak of it. There was literally nothing. No one even thought that there was a possibility of Tori might have a leak.
There was a hint I got from.
Oh, the 7th on the 7th.
No, not that. That too, but it was a week before though. It wasn't when Up the Baggers on Twitter. He tweeted.
Oh yeah.
Harry's nothing to worry, and he messaged me the day after. He's like, "I'm so sorry, I couldn't tell you more," and I just started crying again. But that was the only intel we had, that they kind of said, "Don't worry." Sources say, "Don't worry," so don't worry.
Yeah.
I always said that.
No, I wasn't worried,
but yeah.
I don't think I expected 2030. In the don't worry tweet, I'm like, oh, maybe he'll get a year or 2 years, 3 years. But I think to wake up, no journalist saying he's going to sign a lengthy deal and then he's signed to 2030 like that was just wow.
And the Blues announcement, the media team kills it. And I say this to the day I die, they killed that one.
And the fact Ben was in it.
I didn't notice until you said something. And I saw it, I was in hysterics of laughter. It was so good. And so I'm happy the way they did it. It was great.
Well, 2030, Ari tweeted he'll be in year 12 in 2030, so...
Can't wait.
Maybe hopefully would have premiership by that time. The next big news, Blake Acres in, and then a future third out. I'm going to actually kick off with the most controversial thing, and Tori, you're going to hate me, but I'm really not a huge fan of Blake Acres.
You're talking to the president of the fan club.
I don't know. I just because I watched him because Mum's St Kilda, so I watched watched a heap of St Kilda games, and I watched a lot of him when he was at St Kilda, and I just was never really a fan of him. I just never thought he brought anything special to St Kilda. I know he improved at Freo, he's got better, 100%, but I don't think he'll make this team much better. I just think he'll be able to fit into a role really well. And we
only need to be 2% better though, and we make finals.
Yeah, I mean, I can 0.6% exactly. 0.6%. And I look at it like that, but I'm just worried the hype may be slightly too much because players, good players, don't go around to that many clubs that often, so I don't know. I'm just not decided on him yet, I think.
I can agree 100%. That's why he needs a supporter like me, boost his ego and his abilities a little bit hard. I reckon Carlton themselves, like we've done with others, have the ability to give someone that chance to have a breakout season and to really prove their skills and what they do. At the end of the day, if he's not, we didn't really lose anything for him. But I think he's going to prove you wrong.
We literally lost nothing because the third was Jones and we'd already lost him. So it's actually amazing.
Still got that 3rd round pick at the end of the day because compensation. So.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Nathan, to an extent. Relax, sorry, because I agree with you as well. No, I think he is going to be a serviceable role player. He would come in, do his job, play on the wing, can float across other positions as well if needed. Does he have deficiencies? Yes. He doesn't really. He's more of a reliable. He's not like he's not like O'Brien, put it that way, in terms of like those darting kicks inside 50 and that flashy skills in a sense. He's more reliable. He's like Jack Newnes, but being 50% better at everything. So you can't really expect a whole lot from him. Don't expect him to be like top 5 BNF or anything. 300k a year for 3 years, future third, wearing probably the 33 now that it rolls off the tongue. But no, I just think he'll be solid. I do think the hype is somewhat in jest. I don't think he's as good as a lot of people are saying he is. He does do some things with the ball which aren't great, but once again, we're not buying Christian Petrarca, are we? So expect some deficiencies in his game, expect sometimes to get frustrated with him, but he'll make us however many percent better. He'll make us probably 2 or 3 wins better in terms of what he does to the structure, what he does to the team as well. Just having an actual winger to maintain the width is good. But yeah, he's going to be a serviceable player. I don't think there's anything to write home about, but I think it's also a necessary inclusion that we needed. For free as well, practically as well, which helps.
Well, I mean, do we get anyone else in? I mean, Nick Austin, the night of recording this, he said this morning that they were looking to put their picks on the table and try and move up the draft order. I mean, personally, I don't think they should do that. I think picks 10 and 29 will do pretty well this year, just generally looking at this draft. I'll talk a bit about the draft at the end of this, but in terms of general players at the moment, is there anyone we should be looking at, or is it just enough as it is?
I
don't think so.
I think. Go, Tori.
No, it's fine.
No, I was just going to say, I think we're done. I think people call for small forwards or key defenders. I think our list is fine where it is.
We have it. We have some depth. Injuries pending.
Even still, like, we just got really, really unlucky with injuries. If we halve our injury list, everyone's going to be saying, "Oh my god, we have so much depth." We just got brutalised with injuries, so we're fine. Oh, fingers crossed at least.
Keep the positive attitude. We're fine. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're done. I don't think they'd say, I think we're done playing mind games. So I think if they're saying we're done, we're probably done.
Well, draft-wise, I'll give a bit of insight that this draft group coming through is probably much better than what we've seen the last 2 years, purely because these boys have been able to play a full year of footy, and it's definitely helped. A lot of talk, if you've heard the name Bailey Humphrey, especially through Pom. Personally, I don't like him. I don't think we should get him because he's just cannot kick, and probably a lot of things. He's probably a big risk to take in, I think, and especially if anyone watched the last Vic Metro game, he got an absolute blast by Jacob Anderson, which is a dragon. So I'll pump him up on this show, but not a big fan of Bailey Humphrey. Cam McKenzie, another dragon. He'd be a nice one at the club. Good winner, half forward type. I'm not sure if he'll drop down to 10. He might go a little bit earlier. And Mateus Philippou, is that how you say it? Ari, Tori? Greeks, is that how you say it? Is that
Close enough.
Close enough? Okay.
Close enough.
I don't want to butcher that.
Well, technically Cypriot, which is Tori's domain, but...
Okay. Well, he's one, again, I don't think he'll drop down as far as 10 purely because he's a South Australian boy and Port or Adelaide will look to snap him up really quickly. I'm going to pump up my Dragons boys here because I know enough about him. Ollie Hotten's another one. If anyone in the audience remember his dad, Trent Hotten, he played, I think, 70 games for Carlton before at least we were born, and he rose up the draft ranks a lot. A great winner, great running ability. He'd be great. But you guys are sort of looking at me like, what are you on about? And look, it's a bit confusing. But go to Pommy and Oz and listen to everything he has to say about draft talks, because I know really only the Sandy boys. He knows like
everyone.
I was just about to say, I don't follow the draft close enough. If I need to know something, I just go to Pom. Like,
Yeah,
honestly, I leave that to him.
Insane. It's just go, and I'm sure he's listening to this. Pom, we love your work. Go check out his channel. He's done every draft prospect that's been on the state and national combine list, which is just insane because there's quite a lot of them, and a lot of them are quite average. And he's going on and talking about them and giving them a bit of airtime, which is great on his end. So we love your work, Pom. But let's leave it at that. I don't want to talk about next season predictions because we will come back with Jazz and we'll do a full 2023 preview, and there will be so much shit talked, but I can't wait for it whenever it does happen. But thank you three for joining again. It's been great to have a talk, and I think we can, we'll say we will shut down Carlton Talk, but it's just going to keep going, isn't it? Like it's not actually
we run the AFL.
Carlton was trending on Twitter yesterday. Like,
just bad, but that is. It doesn't stop. But thank you all for joining me. Hope everyone enjoyed listening, watching. We'll be back next year. You know what? It could be a week with him. I doubt it, but look, we'll try. This group's good to talk with. So you'll see us for a preview, definitely. But until then, we will see you soon.